What if the man who single-handedly destroyed Bryce Young's confidence is actually the missing piece to save our secondary? I've just received word from inside the building that Dan Morgan is aggressively eyeing a trade that would send shockwaves through the locker room. We are talking about a veteran who turned our home stadium into his personal highlight reel, and now he wants out of his current city. The price tag is falling, the mutual interest is heating up, and this one move could turn a decent defense into an absolute juggernaut. Are we ready to embrace a former rival? Kenny Moore-Tekken is officially on the trade block, and sources tell me the Carolina Panthers are at the top of the list for a potential landing spot. You remember that devastating afternoon against the Colts where Moore looked like a magnet for the football. He picked off our young quarterback multiple times, returning 2 of them for touchdowns in a performance that felt like a nightmare for every fan in Charlotte. Now, Adam Schefter has confirmed that Moore and the Indianapolis Colts have mutually agreed to seek a trade as he enters the final year of his contract. This isn't just a rumor. It is a developing situation where the Colts have lost their leverage and the Panthers have a glaring need for a veteran presence in the secondary. Bryce Young had to learn the hard way how elite Moore is at reading coverage, but now there is a chance for that nightmare to become a dream scenario for Ejiro Evero's defense. The front office has been aggressive in free agency already, fixing the edge rush and adding depth at linebacker, but the cornerback room remains the biggest question mark on this entire roster. J.C. Horn is a superstar when healthy, but the depth behind him, and Mike Jackson, is dangerously thin. With Jackson heading toward free agency himself after this season, the Panthers need a long-term solution or a high-impact rental to solidify the slot. Moore is widely considered one of the most elite slot defenders in the entire NFL, a position where Carolina has struggled to find consistency for years. This trade isn't just about adding a body. It is about adding a specialist who can shut down the quick passing game and provide the veteran leadership this young group desperately needs. Dan Morgan is known for his aggressive approach to roster building, and bringing in a proven commodity like Moore would signal that the Panthers are ready to compete sooner rather than later. But the fit goes even deeper than just talent. While the Colts and Panthers run different base schemes, the philosophy in the secondary shares a massive common thread. If the Panthers pull the trigger on this move, it changes the entire geometry of the defense. But can they actually afford the contract and the draft capital to make it happen without hurting their future? We have the exclusive breakdown coming up next. This trade could define the entire defensive identity for the Panthers this season, but I need to know your take right now. Would you welcome a player who once tormented Bryce Young if it meant fixing our biggest weakness in the secondary? This is a massive turning point for the franchise, and we are covering every single update from the front office. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a like on this video so you never miss a breaking report from inside the Panthers facility. Seriously, do you want more in the slot? Tell me now. Bryce Young surely hasn't forgotten the name Kenny Moore-Tekken, and the irony of them potentially becoming teammates is one of the most fascinating storylines of the offseason. Sources close to the team suggest that the coaching staff believes having an elite nickel cornerback like Moore would actually help Bryce in practice by giving him the most difficult looks possible every single day. Beyond the narrative, the technical fit is seamless. Indianapolis runs a primary 4-3 defense, while Ejiro Evero utilizes a 3-4, but both systems rely heavily on zone coverage, specifically cover 3 principles. Moore has spent his career mastering the nuances of the slot in zone schemes, knowing exactly when to pass off receivers and when to jump a route for a takeaway. This experience is vital because the Panthers are currently relying on unproven youth or players who are better suited for the outside. By bringing in Moore, it allows J.C. Horn to focus entirely on the opponent's number 1 receiver without worrying about the middle of the field being vulnerable. Imagine a secondary where Horn and Mike Jackson are locking down the perimeter while Moore is erasing the slot and Devin Lloyd is patrolling the middle. It creates a vacuum that forces quarterbacks into making bad decisions. Last year, the Panthers' defense showed massive signs of improvement under Evero, but they lacked that one playmaker in the defensive backfield who could consistently flip the field. Moore is a ball hawk who thrives on anticipation. The front office knows that a strong pass rush, which they have already addressed, only works if the coverage can hold up for those extra few seconds. Adding Moore completes the puzzle. Furthermore, the contract situation makes this a low-risk, high-reward gamble for Dan Morgan. Moore is essentially a rental for the final year of his deal, meaning the Panthers aren't tied to him long-term if the fit isn't perfect. However, If he performs at his usual Pro Bowl level, they have the inside track to negotiate an extension before he ever hits the open market. This is the kind of savvy move that championship-caliber front offices make. They identify a disgruntled star with a falling trade price and strike while the iron is hot. The real question isn't whether Moore is a fit, but how quickly the Colts will cave on their asking price. With both sides in Indy wanting a divorce, the leverage is shifting toward Charlotte. The lomen est slilm skiers, this iwan por lenon, wanolazafaios. With both sides in Indy wanting a divorce, the leverage is shifting toward Charlotte. Dan Morgan has been clear since day one that he wants to build a roster with dogs, and Moore fits that description to a T. The impact of this trade would be felt immediately in the draft room. If you secure a veteran cornerback like Moore before the draft, it completely frees up the Panthers to use their remaining draft capital on other pressing needs like wide receiver or offensive line depth. You no longer feel pressured to reach for a rookie cornerback in the early rounds who might take 2 years to develop. Instead, you get a finished product who can walk into the facility on day one and start. This is about maximizing the window of Bryce Young's rookie contract. The defense was the bright spot of last season, and doubling down on that unit could make the Panthers one of the most feared defenses in the NFC South. The division is wide open, and a lockdown secondary is the fastest way to neutralize the veteran quarterbacks we have to face twice a year. We are looking at a scenario where the Panthers could go from a rebuilding squad to a top 10 defensive unit in the span of one offseason. The internal belief is that Vero is a defensive genius who just needs the right tools to execute his vision. Moore is the Swiss Army knife that the system has been missing. He can blitz from the edge, support the run, and play elite man-to-man coverage against the league's shiftiest receivers. The future of this franchise depends on making smart, calculated moves that provide high impact without mortgaging the future. Trading a late-round pick for a Pro Bowl talent whose team has lost all leverage is the definition of a Dan Morgan special. We have seen this GM be aggressive when he smells blood in the water, and right now, the Colts are bleeding. The locker room would be energized by adding a player of this caliber. It sends a message to the veterans on the team that the front office is serious about winning now. If this deal goes through, the expectations for the upcoming season will skyrocket. We are no longer talking about a slow rebuild. We are talking about a team that is 1 or 2 pieces away from being a serious problem in the postseason race. The next 48 hours will be critical as phone calls continue between Indy and Charlotte. Ultimately, the potential acquisition of Kenny Moore II signifies a total shift in the Carolina Panthers' philosophy. We are moving away from the era of just collecting talent and moving into the era of strategic dominance. This move would represent a full-circle moment for this franchise. Moore was the man who symbolized the struggles of our rookie quarterback last year, but in a poetic twist of fate, he might be the veteran leader who helps lead this defense to the next level. It shows that Dan Morgan isn't afraid of the past and is only focused on the future. He sees a player who can fundamentally change how opponents have to call plays against us. If you can take away the middle of the field with a player like Moore, you make the entire defensive line better by forcing the quarterback to hold the ball longer. It is a ripple effect that touches every single player on that side of the ball. This is the kind of move that turns a 5-win team into a playoff contender. For the fans who endured the heartbreak of last season, seeing a former nemesis don the black and blue would be the ultimate sign that things are different now. This front office isn't sitting on its hands. They are hunting for value, and they are hunting for wins. The meaning of this trade goes beyond the X's and O's. It is about establishing a culture of excellence and opportunistic roster building. We are watching the blueprint of a new Panthers era being written in real time. So I have to ask you one last time. Is Kenny Moore II the final piece of the puzzle for this defense, or should we stick to the draft and build younger? This is the most important decision of the month, and I want to hear your voice in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for all the latest insider updates as this trade story develops. We are staying on top of this until the ink is dry. This is the time to be a Panthers fan because the moves being made right now are going to define our success for years to come. Keep pounding, stay locked in, and I will see you on the next breaking news update. The trade market is moving fast, and we will be here to cover every second of it.